kindly sit down. Thank you for your courtesy. The House Speaker, Pantaleon Alvarez, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, Representative Abraham Tolentino, Grand Master, Grand Lodge of the Philippines, Mr. Romeo Momo, Deputy Grand Master, members of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of the Free and Accepted Masons of the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen. I have a speech here. It's the usual blah, 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 nice words. But since I am in the midst of most of you Filipinos, I'd rather that I be granted time to talk about something else which I would like to convey to my countrymen especially. Now, this is not politics, but actually, I'd like to go back to the campaign days. I'm sure most of you were listening to the presidential debates. And if you kindly remember, I was always the first to finish because I did it by bullets, because I know that time was really a constraint. We were only given something like a minute and a half. And judging from my experiences in things like this, debates with a very constricted time, I would not be able to explain everything. So what I did was just to do it by bullets. But if you would really kindly also remember, I only promised 5 fundamental things, which at that time was the very necessary message that the Filipinos would like to hear. Ang inuna ko po, graft and corruption. Second was crime, criminality, and drugs. And third was the economic condition, particularly in our agricultural sector, which is the weakest link in our economy until now. And fourth is that I would not tinker with the economics of the country. And I have been very frank with you that, economics in the AB is not really enough to run the financial condition of a country. And so, but I'd start with federalism. You know, the sole and singular reason why I am for federalism and really convincing everybody to the hilt that it is to our national survival. My brother Moros and sisters, do not be offended. I am one of you. My mother is a half Maranao, which means to say that my grandfather was Chinese and my grandmother was in Maranao. So there is nothing really to be sore about, but you have to listen to me because this is very important. The sole and singular reason why I am for the federal setup is not because I promise it to you. Of course not. It was not I who started this idea. But if you remember during the EDSA revolution, Corazon Aquino, the president who prevailed at the time because of the EDSA revolution, went to Hulo to talk to Miswari, who was then and until now the chief of the MNLF, the Moro National Liberation Front. In that particular event, Corazon Aquino promised Ms. Wari the federal system. And everybody agreed at the time who could go, you cannot go against a president's pronouncement. But we supported it because we thought that it was really to the best of our country. Now, at a very late date, but far in between, there were only promises that failed. You know, for example, SPCPD, the arm, and everything, it is not really responding to the needs of the Moro aspiration. Never mind about corruption. But let us go back to the things that are very, very basic to us. Long before Magellan landed in Leyte, Islam was already thriving in Mindanao. I had a chance to go around when I was a congressman, way back in 1998 something, under then Speaker, not really Belmonte, but si Villar. And we had a chance to go around during the parliamentary exchanges, and I had a chance to go to Malaysia. Alam mo naman, for one thing or another, there's always a time to go around, and I went to the archives. More or less, something like 80, I don't think it's 100, it's 80, 70, when the first evangelist of the Muslim faith, Islam, came over. And at that time, the conversion was complete. So I'd be referring to the tribes of Maguindanao, Maranao, Iranon, the Kagan, the Tausug. So all of them in the Philippines was already, except the Lumad, because at that time they retreated to the sanctuaries of the forest. Nomadic tribes here in the Philippines. So it came to pass that after so many years, Magellan also landed. Colonialization. That's a culprit. It was happening all over the world. It was happening in Africa. It was happening in the Middle East. And it was happening here. The Indonesians went to the Dutch. Malaysia went to the British. We endured Spanish rule, and that was about 500 years ago. So what was really brought here was entirely a governance far different from the Malay race. Because we Filipinos, we identify ourselves with the Malay, and that's why we look like also dark. But the pigmentation maybe of the skin, but we look exactly like our Malay brothers, the Indonesians, the Malaysians, and the rest of Southeast Asia. So hanggang ngayon, at to this day, they are aching really for that break because they could not do anything, revolution after revolution, and it always ended in massacres. So practically, without saying in so many words, the Moro was on bended knees all the time. Spain lost to America, and the U.S.-Spain wars, the Marianas, Philippines was included, were ceded, including Mexico. Part of it was ceded to the United States. So from one colonizer, we went to another one. And still, it adopted the unitary type of government. Straight from the throne in Malacañang down to the barangay level. The hold is there. And I would say that a Philippine president, if he wants to be a dictator, he can be. All he has to worry about is the military and the police. It's very easy to grab power here in this country. So nobody really minded the Moro brothers until in 1972 there was these black shirts of Odtog Matalam. I remember it very well. Modesty aside, there was only one Cotabato at that time. It was under Odtog Matalam. About the same time, the governor of Davao province, capital was Davao City, was my father. So I remember all of these events because I was kept posted by the military and the police because there was really war going on, and there was fighting up to the PC Hill. That's where the soldiers and the police resided in that city. So ganon ang nangyari. Now we have the newcomers, same demand, failed promises. Until now, they were governed by force, and so they are asking again a little Ilborong. Now, I'd like to say that we are lucky because MN and MI are just asking for the basics. They have abandoned the cry for independence because it would not really work, given the predominance of population of the Christian people here in Mindanao. So it could not be a thing like a bloodbath. That is the first proposition. So we all agreed that we can always talk, avoid bloodshed, avoid killing each other by simply going federal. It's a bit loose than a unitary type. But I would like to assure everybody that it's about time also that we take care. That's just like the American Indians. You cannot forever just garrison them in a reservation. There has to be a mix of tribes here, all. And that is why when I try to rebuild a burned area where there are Moro and Christians, I always see to it that every other house that we rebuild is inhabited by a mix. It's a Muslim, a Tausug, a Maranao, then a Christian. And we're just better off, a little better off than the rest of the Philippines. Because I've always insisted in, well, if we cannot assimilate, we have to be friends. Because I cannot govern a city when I was mayor with a topsy-turvy thing of tribes asserting itself from one another. Ito ngayon, bakit ako pumayag? Why am I so? The singular reason why. Because it would end up in a bloodshed. We were able to hold all these years. It was EDSA revolution at the time. Missouri was going all over Mindanao. And we became fast friends. And until now, as always said publicly, he defers to my, but it doesn't mean to say that because we are friends now, we conveniently forget what they always have been asking for. And the MILF, to their credit, has said that they have abandoned the idea of bloodshed, but only as a last resort. Now, the events of our planet Earth, the geopolitical play of some nations, has continued to evolve. Now, I said, my Moro brothers, do not be offended. We're all on the same boat. I'm just being frank with you. If we do not do something about this to fix it, I don't know how, but we have to fix it, then there will be little wars, pockets of rebellion. And it might really involve the island of Mindanao. Alam mo kung bakit? Well, there is a group of guys there in the Middle East whose minds are so warped and corrupt that they go for the killing and destroying for no reason at all. And they use the Quran in such a way, in a very distorted manner, to gain sympathy and to enjoin everybody to join them. They have interpreted Quran and corrupted it, and I don't know what, and I should know, because for the few young years that I was used to visit my grandmother in Iligan and in Marawi, we had two houses. That was not what was transmitted to me. Only good things. Islam is a decent language. It is a loving words there in the Quran. Now, if war breaks out, pockets of rebellions, my enemy, you, is the friend of ISIS. So, the idea of a revolution for a territory would now have a new theory injected inside, and that is religion. Because the ISIS is invoking solely religion, using Islam to gain their footholds in so many places. Meron na tayong revolution propelled by territorial aspirations, and you inject, because they would come here. If they lose the land base, that is just my thinking. If they lose their land base, where would be the most ideal place to set up headquarters? In Southeast Asia. Where in Southeast Asia? In the Philippines. Why? Because there is Mindanao. Then another question, why Mindanao? I said, no offense intended. This is just the thinking of a government worker. Akin. Alam mo, if we really go into a rampage, as an example, it could not be Malaysia, because most of them are Muslims. They might do some troubles in Malaysia, but Najib is a very wise guy. He would be able to control it. But all of them are Muslims in Indonesia. Now, what is the avowed claim? What is the avowed objective with its invoking the holiness of God? It's the ISIS. And what is their Boy Scout motto? To kill the infidels. Where would you find the infidels in Southeast Asia? That would be a battleground. It would be in Mindanao, because it is a mixed crowd. And who are the infidels? The non-Muslims. Those who are not Muslims will be killed. That is the most corrupt and bankrupt way of doing a religion. That is why we have to avoid quarrel here, because a lot of sanctuaries abound, and there are many infidels. Yun ang mahirap. And that is why I have been trying to fix it. Well, to the chagrin of those who are really talking about peace, apparently the Visayas, where my father comes from, Cebu, Danao City, they are nonchalant about the whole. And I've been warning, just giving the warning ever since. Baski nung mayor pa ako, when I was mayor, I said, these things can really go wrong. You know, the Murphy's Law. If anything can happen, it can happen here. Because the fundamentals are present. That is why I said. And that was one of my promises during the campaign, which I am doing now. I am talking, I said, I will talk to the enemies of the state. Apparently, they are all enemies of the state because one time or another we had been killed, a lot of killings in the past. I'm talking to the communists. Every time we reopen the talks, I share Season's temperament too. So if he throws something that is not to my liking, I also would bullshit him. Because I have to stand for the sovereignty of the country. So I've given them 60 days. I know that you do not have money, that you are into extortion, and that is why we cannot agree. I know that you live by the fat of the land from somebody else's pocket. Yung mga plantation and all of these things. Well, come home. Do not ask me to go to the Netherlands because we are fighting for power in the Philippines. You come here. I will spend for your trip billeting and board and all. So long as your soldiers are in a camp, bring your firearms there. Do not go out with arms. Stop extortion and declare a ceasefire. I will give you and me 60 days, a very small window. And this would be the last. In the military, they don't like it. But I told them, look, and the police, but not some. But not all also. So sabi ko, look, I am not a soldier. I am not a policeman. I am a government worker whose task is to find peace for my country. So allow me to do it. Because that is my job. Or would you rather that we continue the carnage of killing each other and find no peace for all time? So we are talking now, Belio and Doreza are there, 2 months, 6 days. If we fail forever. And he says he's coming over as long as his safety is assured. Sure. I will pay for everything, I said. I will deliver the rice and the viands there in your camp. Then we talk. But no coalition government. I cannot, for the life of me, give it to you, even if I wanted to. Why? Because a coalition government would entail the sharing of powers. And the Constitution says that the sovereignty resides in the Filipino people. And since we cannot exercise the power all the time, we elect leaders. We elect congressmen, we elect senators. They are empowered because it is delegated to them by the people through elections. If I give it to you, I would be violating the Constitution. And the army and the police, if it's culpable enough, would be a good reason for me to go out of office forcibly. That is not really an option. Remove that No coalition government ever. We can talk of how to formulate economics and everything. I will place you in high places. We can tinker about the social ills, how to improve lives of people, how to remove poverty. But sovereign power cannot be a bargaining chip. That is how it is. I'm talking with the MI. So Congress is going to pass it, the BBL, I hope, on time. Nur Miswari said we'll just defer to the President when it is time to talk. Miswari Murad of the MI, apparently, and we, the Filipino people, are really tired of fighting and killing each other. It's time, maybe in the fullness of God's time, if I can hack it, if I can bring the two agreements between the Muslim insurgency and the communist and government, then that would be the thing that they would ask from God. And I would have been blessed all of mine. Paski yan lang. I'll share with you. Why am I close to China? Simply, it's geopolitics. We are friends with America. No doubt about it. We have the RP-US pact military. But the provisions there says that if we go to war, we have to ask from each other's Congress for the authority. We have gone the high and the lowest point of our relationship. It is not because I do not trust America, but America today is beset with so many problems. And in the matter of the arms race, apparently Russia and China has gone into a parity, or if not a little bit higher. And so, if there's going to be war, the United States itself would be busy defending itself from the missiles coming from Russia and China. But then again, also, if there is a revolution that's rampaging, and it is ISIS, it would hijack the peace talks from the traditional Moro people, then it would be China. Because I have asked. Now, there are a lot of Filipinos who say that I have been trying to appear weak. I do not want to confront China. You know, when I first went there, because of the failed delivery of 23,000 firearms, 5.56 rifles, which we ordered from Sig Sauer, America. And it was not delivered because one senator and one congressman delivered a speech about the human rights violations in the Philippines. And so I know, we knew that it was already boiling because I have cousins inside Lanao del Sur, where my genetics started. So, alam ko na, from all indications, from the military, from the police, and from my blood relatives, sinasabi na something is afoot, be careful. And so, when I made the inventory, the police said, we have the firearms. If you count it by number, just by the appearance, it is a firearm, and we have it. But they are so old, the bores are already melted by the so many thousands of bullets passing by that barrel there. It is no longer accurate. And we need it because we have this. I was thinking of. So I went to China. And I appeared weak, but I brought along Anyo, Lorenzana, and Esperon, the military, and we had a confrontation. And I said, in that first bilateral, the Philippines has a stake in the West Philippines Sea, which you call South China Sea. I will go there and dig my oil. And in front of a full cast cabinet, we were all there on a long table on the other side facing the Chinese counterparts. Xi Jinping told me, well, you know, Mr. President, we just renewed our ties. We are friends again. Please do not spoil everything. I said, but I know. I want to respect our friendship, but how about the oil, sir? We need money. My country is poor. You're all lucky, you guys, you have the oil fields, Malaysia, Indonesia. I don't know why, but we do not have the oil. If we had oil, things would have moved better for us. It's the oil that is really the blood of planet Earth. It runs everything. I know what he said. I'm afraid if you do that, there will be trouble. And you guys have a Chinese ancestry, origin. What do you think the Chinese would have meant when he said there will be trouble? Am I going to send my troops there, my Marines? It will be a massacre. It is a war that I can never, never win and sacrifice the lives of Filipinos. Then what is my regret? My regret is 5 or 7 years ago, with all the satellite pictures and everything for us to see, there were in the newspapers already shown that China was something was going on. They were trying to build, it was a reclamation thing declaimed. Suddenly, it developed into what is now a military garrison. Now, at that time, who could have stopped it? Tell me. Philippine Navy? Marines? And there will be a massacre. Who was the power that could have stopped it on time? It was only America. He could have sent his armadas, the 7th Fleet there, and say, hey, guy, you cannot build artificial islands in the high seas. That's not allowed. It ain't allowed. Wala man siyang ginawa. America did nothing. The Western nations did nothing. They had the atomic bombs, they had the cruise missiles, they had the ship. Now you expected me now, and they're pushing me to go hard against China. What for? When if there is trouble in Mindanao, if there is it's going to be, a bloodbath, the nearest that I could call, which I'm sure would respond, would be China. Maybe America. But because their Congress is so powerful that it can paralyze actually the presidency of America. Unlike in countries where there's only one leader to reckon with, if he says go there and help the Filipinos, tapos. May I had the rifles, it was not delivered. And that was, I was forced to go to China. I said, I'm going to buy firearms because I expect trouble, Marawi. And Xi Jinping said, Mr. You tell me what you want. I'll give it to you for free. So I was grateful. What am I supposed to react? Then I went to Russia. I talked to President Putin and said, look, you have to help me because I cannot get the source of the firearms. I do not have any source. I could not ask for more because China could only also give us this. We do not expect any country to fund everything in our air forces. If all of our arms are controlled by one country, then this country will become the colony of that power. So you cannot do that. You can only say, I'm going to buy in China, and I do not have to double it with who were there. They were all there. They were listening. I will buy. But they gave it for free. Salamat. Thank you. I went to Putin. President Putin said, no need, I'll give you. Give me trucks, military trucks, and I said, thank you. Canada. We ordered 23 attack helicopters, Bell, made in subsidiary of Bell in Canada. When it was about to be perfected, they said, but we will sell to you the helicopters, but we will not allow it to be armed because you can only use it for humanitarian purposes. You know, evacuation of wounded soldiers, 24 helicopters. Where will I find that many dead soldiers to transport? I have to kill my own soldiers to fill it up. Why? What was the condition? That you cannot use it against your own citizens. My God, my citizens are joining the communist rebellion, and my brother Muslims, misguided, are joining the ISIS. They are slaughtering by people. And you say now that I cannot use it against my citizens. And that is the reason why you hear me responding to suggestions with an insult. Because it hurts to be just looking at the number of criminals and you don't matter to look when they say there are 4,000 killed by the soldiers. Correct. But kindly turn the page. How many lives, innocent lives were lost or wasted because of drugs? The United States itself Control Board of the United Nations says that shabu, among other substances, is the most toxic. It creates an aberration in the mind, and they have bizarre behavior. That is why today, yesterday, tomorrow, and you see father killing a guy with drunk with substances in the mind, would rape a child, 6-year-old, 9 years old, 6 months. Apparently, they have lost their sense of humanity. The EU and most of the countries have a misplaced. They don't bother to look at the victims, but rather they would prefer, because people judge best when they condemn. They only look what they can criticize about you. And threatening me. I was a prosecutor. I was first investigated by the rapporteur, Alston, of the United Nations. Nothing happened. His report was that he blames the negligence or the non-performance of the police. And that was it. Dilemma he was the chairman of the Human Rights Commission. She came here with the members of the commission, ang bank, and investigated me. To this day, no finding. When she was a senator, she initiated an investigation. Until now, there is no finding. When she was the highest official now of that commission, and until now, she keeps on bumbling. Also, where is your report? I do not deny when I say, do not destroy my country because I will kill you. Do not destroy the young of this country because I will kill you. But my orders to Lorenzana and the rest, destroy the apparatus and organizations of the drug cartels. Destroy them, and if need be, kill. Do you find something wrong? Is it wrong for a president to protect his people? Is it wrong for a president to kill to save his people? And I will do it. This drug problem, it is to say, it has gone worldwide. It has become toxic and everything. It's a vicious one. In America, they have this problem, so they have to declare a national emergency. But when I took oath of office, I declared it right away that there was a national emergency. And the police began to resorting, knocking at the doors. Tok hang. Tok tok is tok tok tok. Hang is, I don't know if it's hanging or, hang is hangyo. Tok tok is the Visayan word for hang is hangyo, request. Now stop it. And they criticize, guys all over the world criticize Bato, the chief of police. Now recently, the intelligence guys of America discovered a dark side in the web, sa the website, internet. So they seized control of everything and pretended to continue the transaction. When they had their complete data of everything, they went around, followed Bato, Tokhang. See how the incongruity can really be. Sometimes it could really be hypocritical. To criticize only to adapt it when there is a need for your country to do it. For me, it's mine, it is not. Now, they tried to, it has stopped. Because when De Lima started to investigate, being a prosecutor, I studied my case. I had this one excuse that nobody reminded me of. But since I was a prosecutor, the first thing that I would do when I sit for the day's trial, I was a trial prosecutor, I would say, okay, people of the Philippines versus Pedro Santos. My first question would really be, look at the documents. Does this court have jurisdiction over the case? Second, do I have jurisdiction over the accused? Is he here? Has he posted bail? Has he jumped bail? He could not be found. Those are the things that I studied. And when this Rome Agreement was signed by Estrada many years ago, it was sent to Congress. And Congress gave its concurrence as required by the treaty. But it did not have because they never returned this Concord Treaty to me. It's the Philippines Executive Department, the job of the President to publish it. They never did. From the signing of the President to Congress, the idiots went direct to Rome and affixed the document, and we are now bound by the treaty. You know, a treaty cannot be higher than a constitution. As a matter of fact, when there is a treaty that we sign, the principle involved is always, when the treaty is signed and concurred by a country and all the formalities are observed, it becomes a part of the law of the land. It does not say that if there are provisions inconsistent with this treaty vis-a-vis with the Constitution, the treaty will prevail. It ain't that way. So I just kept my silence. And I said, forgive me for being vulgar about it. I've always said, go ahead. And Obama reprimanded me in a press briefing at the White House. You know, he's a president, a Harvard graduate. He knows that you cannot criticize a chief of state in just its press briefing. I thought he was a Harvard graduate. If you have a complaint against the Philippines or through me, you go to the United States, United Nations. You file your complaint there and have it investigated. Wait for the results. Then when there is the truth there, after investigation, you can do what you want, initiate charges or whatever. But there was no publication at all. So when there is no publication, you cannot say, the law excuses no one. Precisely because it is published in the official gazette, we are now put on constructive notice that there is a law. And what is that law? That treaty room. And what does it say? It says nothing but there is a creation of a commission that is criminal in nature. It provides for the prosecutors, it defines the wrongs done, then there is the corresponding penalty. If that is not criminal, what animal is that? So they never filed it. Because when it is published, you can now say that you cannot use. But when there is no publication, there is no law to be talking about, since ignorance of the law really would excuse someone and everybody. And I was waiting with do not mean to insult anybody. I was waiting because the brother who is king of Jordan, the brother is the high commissioner of the human rights. And he said, Duterte needs to see a psychiatrist. So I was forced to already reveal what was my defense. So they have stopped. See? They have stopped demonstrating. Said, you cannot hail me before the ICC. Not in a million years. And the press asked me, why is it that it took you this long, very late, to say it in public, when you could just have done it and say it outright? Because I said, to find out how many stupid people there are in the Philippines. And indeed, I was the only one keeping that defense. And to my mind, it was because of the rudiments that I have learned when I was a prosecutor. Always. Do you have jurisdiction over the place? My case, no jurisdiction. Why? Because you failed to publish it. What does the Constitution say? The Constitution says that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied of the equal protection of the laws. In my case, how does it operate? That holy praise there under the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is the firewall between government's unlimited power and the rights of the citizens of that country. It is the Bill of Rights. Presumption of innocence. There must be a lawyer being investigated. He must be advised of the Miranda ruling. Does he have the right to remain silent? It's all American. We adopted in toto. That's it. So, what is the significance of that no person shall be deprived of life or property? If I remove that phrase and place it under the applicability in my case, there was no publication. And what was the ruling of the Supreme Court then and now? That a criminal law especially must be published. Failure to publish it, there is no law. And that is the Supreme Court ruling time and again, especially in the Tovera versus Tanyada. That's a leading case, a precedent case in the Philippines. So they have stopped yakking about. And I said before, you guys, because I was just watching all over the horizon of the country. Nobody really told me, even my lawyers, that, they say that you cannot arrest a sitting president and blah, 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 blah. I will have my defense. And something else. In that treaty, when you are convicted, then you are sentenced. But if you are acquitted, in the Philippines, in the Constitution, double jeopardy is not allowed. If you are acquitted, even in the lower courts, nobody can refile it. Because under the theory, you cannot face trial twice. Added to that you cannot arrest a sitting president. But it never came out in the newspaper. They would always say, the president is... So I realize now that it's not because I'm the smart kid in town, but the opposition especially, apparently, when the High Commissioner of the Human Rights said about me needing a psychiatrist, I wanted to criticize the gray matter between his ears. But General Esperon, my National Security Advisor, said, please stop. Just keep calm. Why? Why should I allow this? Sabi niya, no. Because the King of Jordan is very kind to us. Yes, I know. We're friends. We have the best of relations. That's why he said, he promised us 2 Cobra helicopters. We can never buy one even, but he's going to give us 2. So you just suffer in humiliation and shut up. But this drug problem, I will not allow my country. Not an additional killing of pregnant women, rape, killing, the rape, a blind mother, the daughter-in-law, stab a 14-year-old girl, at yung isang one child, 6 months old, pinakialaman ba? Also stabbed. That's why I'm a prosecutor. When the idiot, that's my job. idiot is acquitted, especially on a technicality. And so this time I said, look at the helpless victims. Look at the lives lost unnecessarily, dying in a very violent way. Please count them. And please count the number of soldiers and police that I have lost against the drug war. Marawi siege was funded by a big laboratory of Shabu. That was why it was flooding the country. And I was forced to take action against a mayor of a city in Mindanao who was using the mayor's office as a platform for his drug operation. And he went to the extent of even killing his own policemen who did not agree with him. I'm referring to Mayor Parahinog. When he was killing even soldiers, I said, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to go. And another mayor, and do not blame me, I called them, all the mayors in Malacañang. And you can ask them, anyone city mayor. And I said, do not fuck with drugs. I will. Do not use your office to do business about drugs and use the arm of the state against innocent people. I will eat you alive. So those who did not, well, I'm sorry. That is how the game of life is played in this planet. And drugs, corruption, I have fired up to late last week, I have fired 2 high government officials. And this attorney Sai was said, no, I was forced to go out because we could not agree in the Labor Department about the ending of this ENDU. And he was making excuses. That's why I came up with the warning. You better tell the truth now, or else I'll release the affidavit of the complainant who signed it against you. I will make it public. I was just so because some of them, old ones, they have, I see the record, they have already the children or doctors, nurses. And to spare embarrassment, they just go out silently. But if you voice a reason there to make yourself appear, that's the reason. You want to appear white? No need for a jubos or to take jubos. Alam mo yung jubos Tagalog? Nasa English? All you need to do, if you want to appear white, is the other guy, paint him black. And you appear white. Say, do not do that. Talagang yayariin kita. Remember that I ran for president. I never had in a single, even a barangay kagawa there. In Manila, I had none. In Cebu, where my father, my part of my income comes from, I never had any, except for one mayor. In Mindanao, Subiri, and another governor. Last minute, she bumaliktad. She gave me an overwhelming majority of 50,000. Why? Because of love. And guys, maybe the husband is listening, that happened 30 years ago. So I said, may I just tell you also, no commercial transaction ever reaches my desk. If you are the Secretary of Defense, you buy bullets, you buy missiles, it says on your table. You decide what is best for the country. Do not bring it to my office. I do not sign any transaction. If you are the DTI, Department of Trade, Agriculture, you have some contracts there, just see to it that kaya ditong sa rice, with our experience sa rice, there was really no shortage. So the best way, I said, to address this problem is, I will fill my inventory. I was mad because the inventory was either half full or half empty. So hanggang dyan lang yung sabi ko, guys, I want to see rice up there, touching the ceiling of this warehouse. Now, and to the traders and the business, I have done away with the quota. You can import rice, all of you. No more paperwork. And if there is somebody from the NHA, BIR, Customs would be asking money from you, slap him. Try to slap him. And tell the idiot, look, you work for me. I pay your salary. I have paid the taxes, just pay the taxes, the correct taxes, and that's the end. So somebody is messed up with you. Duterte said, I should slap you. That would be extortion. Or would you rather that I go to the president? Because if you are, then I see an injury. There's 2 scars there. And just recently, because I hit something while giving the blow, I also hurt myself. And that's how stupid can one get, being reckless. But I have my style. And it worked. When I became mayor, I promised you from Davao, I will build. I am not a soldier, I am not a policeman. I will build a comfortable city, a clean city. It has maintained that way because my daughter, who also has the temerity to maul in public a sheriff, Inday can sometimes be nasty also. She has a temperament. By the way, she's Jew. The mother's name is Zimmerman. And I thought that Jews are peace-loving. But you know, the descendants can also be, I'm sure, just ask the others who are here. She kind of mauled the sheriff for destroying the houses much earlier than the court order. So, yan I'm happy that I know it took time. You know, if I have read this speech, I could have finished it 1 minute or 1.5. Just like the debates. Then I ask you, would you be happy? I don't think that I would have been able really to convey to you what is in my heart. From here, I am flying to Singapore. For the Filipino taxpayers, I'm not taking, usually you charter a jet and it would cost you millions. Because that plane would be waiting for you until you return. And it would cost us millions. I'm taking, I just borrowed, the deal is I would just pay for the fuel and the allowances of the pilots, and you can save money. It's not a new one, but I hope if it comes out, it could be somewhere along the shores of Malaysia also, so that we can. It's about 3 hours and a half going there. I'm going there straight. I would bring the good wishes, but we'll be taking up sovereignty and everything. Just before I end, I would just like to remind the Western country, stop intervening. You said foreign power brought in government and religion. Religion from the travel all the way from Afghanistan to the Central Asia, down to Malaysia, Thailand, then went to Malaysia, Indonesia, went up to here in Mindanao. Good. It's all done with. So take it as good rather than indulge in something in the past which no longer comes. But they introduce government and they impose their style of governance. This time, these idiots, especially the European Parliament, they keep on harping on the Philippines of the death of, without a single one complaining about the death of the innocents dying and drug lords living with houses in Australia and America at the expense of their fellow men. So may I, if you happen to be a friend of somebody, stop this business of intervening in the affairs of other countries. I assure you, who in the world would like or relish to kill his own countrymen? Precisely, I said, when the issue of the China Sea, leave it at that, is geopolitics. Anyway, China has offered joint exploration and joint operation. And I said, maybe we give you a better deal, 60-40. You cannot go against anybody. You cannot fight it. But President Xi is a friend. We'll share with you. And nobody has done that to the Philippines. I am not saying. But if you are afraid that I would allow other countries, other powers to sip in and finance our own requirements of the armed forces, that cannot happen. I said, if you do that, you become a colony. And we are not prepared for that. We are an independent nation. And when the issue of the Benham rice, Philippine rice, there were so many ships there doing explorations, and when this crucial question was asked of me, what will you do if they also claim it? And I said, I will go to war. And I will go to war. Believe me. Next week, I'm going to set sail on, I'm going to the Benham rice. And I will make a statement there that nobody but nobody owns this place, including the continental shelf, the underground landmass that extends under the sea. And if it extends to San Francisco Bay is a property of the Republic of the Philippines. Thank you.